So now with that being said, so there's an intersection of a couple of those variables to discuss really quick. The first of those is force and time. And so whenever you take a force, you multiply it by the amount of time you apply that force for. That gives you a quantity known as impulse. So if you apply 10 newtons of force for 5 seconds, that means you applied 500 total newtons of force. And then depending on how much mass the object had that you're applying that force for and whether or not there are any forces opposing you is going to determine what rate you accelerated that object. Now, there's a few different ways we can look at impulse. So if we have a 100 kilogram object, we know that every second gravity is applying 981 newtons of force downwards on that object. For you to prevent that object from accelerating downwards, you have to apply a 981 Newton force upwards, and that is enough force to hold the object stationary. So mathematically, this would look like if we want to determine the total acceleration rate on object, then it would look like we have 981 newtons up plus negative 981 newtons down equals 0 newtons. So you're going to have 0 net acceleration on that body. Now let's say alternatively, we have our 100 kilogram object with its negative 981 newtons of force, and we only apply 881 newtons of force upwards. This means that gravity is still exerting a net 100 newtons of force downwards. So in this case, we take the 100 kilograms divided by 100 newtons, which gives us 1 meter per second squared acceleration downwards. So in this case, we're not able to exert enough force to prevent the object from going downwards, but we do produce enough force that we are able to slow its acceleration. So the motion of all objects is controlled by the sum of all the net forces acting upon them. So with that being said, whenever we have an object that goes through a series of events, whether it's an exercise or we try to throw something, what have you, the final velocity of that object is going to be a sum of all the forces that happen to it during that sequence of events. So let's say, for example, we had an object and we applied 881 newtons of force for 5 seconds upwards while gravity exerted the 981 newtons of force for 5 seconds downward, which gives us a 500 total newtons of force on that object over a period of 5 seconds, which would accelerate to an ending velocity of 5 meters per second. So keep that in mind, that is impulse. As we go through some of these later videos, we're going to return to all these ideas at a later time.